You're going down, Mecha Ghidorah. We shall see. Ready? Fight. Who's saying that? Rodan, is that you again? Get over here. Cha-chink. What the hell? Fatality. Where is that announcer coming from? Toasty! Hey guys, welcome to Super Important Reviews. My name's Steve, and today I'll be going over the Bandai Tamashii Nation SH MonsterArts Mecha Ghidorah. He's from the film Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah from the Heisei series. If you guys haven't seen it, a little bit of a spoiler, but King Ghidorah does get killed in the film. And towards the end of the movie, Emmy goes back into the future, because she was from the future, in order to get the King Ghidorah remains and turn it into the cyborg monster Mecha King Ghidorah in order to come back into the past to fight Godzilla and try to save Japan to varying degrees of success, and probably the first of the Heisei series monsters to actually try to defeat Godzilla by dropping him off into the ocean. And for me, my first introduction to Mecha King Ghidorah was actually through the Treadmaster line, which I actually have one of these guys still in the packaging, so you guys can see that one of the figures you could pick up was Mecha King Ghidorah, which pretty much the bio for this guy is similar to the film, the same with Ghidorah and Mecha Godzilla right here. But I remember just seeing this guy back in the day, and I was just being oddly confused on who this was, and actually it just kind of blew my mind that this guy was actually a good guy in the film and not just the normal villain that we all know King Ghidorah to be. And eventually, after going to my first G-Fest, I was actually able to get the film so I could actually see this monster in action. And I love Mecha King Ghidorah. My wife especially loves Mecha King Ghidorah. It's because three-headed dragon, how can you go wrong? And then he's cybernetic, so just added brownie points. And this guy also comes with the dorats, so you have the trifecta that is Mecha King Ghidorah, which you go from the dorats to King Ghidorah into him. So that is actually an awesome inclusion into the figure, which we'll get into in a few seconds. But without further ado, for the packaging, love the front, even though, again, I really love it when you can actually see inside the packaging, but it's still a pretty nice image with the King Ghidorah heads kind of spiraling around each other. Got the Bandai Tamashii Nation at the bottom, name at the top, came out in 2015. For the top of the packaging, just got the name Mecha King Ghidorah with this nice black and white in the background. For the side of the packaging, not too much going on, that isn't any different from the top. But on this side of the packaging, you actually get a nice black and white image of Mecha King Ghidorah with his name here in kanji at the bottom. On the back of the packaging, it's got a bunch of images of King Ghidorah and some dynamic poses, shows him flying, some of accessories, and the creepy little dorats. Some stuff I can't understand at the bottom, and legal mumbo jumbos that's upside down. So let's get him opened up out of his cardboard prison. So now that I have this guy open up out of his cardboard prison, he looks amazing. Except that when I got him out of the packaging, this guy literally terrified me because a few of his body parts actually were popped off inside the packaging. Like this King Ghidorah head was actually missing its lower jaw and I had to go search for it. This head was dislocated from the body. The lower section was popping off. So it had me a little bit worried that I was going to have to return this, but it was pretty easy to reassemble everything once I found all the parts. And it's definitely not my first time ever getting an SH MonsterArts figure where there was a few things kind of dislocating out of the packaging, but it's just, this guy terrified me a little bit more than others. And also, when you get them out of the packaging, you're going to have to attach these prongs, but if you have any problems with that, just use a hairdryer. It makes it really easy to get those inside. That's what I had to do to reattach the mouth here. But overall, love the detail and the presentation of this guy. But before we fully get into Mecha King Ghidorah, first we're going to go over the dorats, which I actually didn't know these guys were a thing till I seen the film Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, and these guys were coming out of the glove compartments and whatnot of the time machine that they go back into the past with when you first get introduced to the Godzillasaurus. And these guys are just coming out of the glove compartments just like, love me, I will eat your soul. Just flying around and stuff. And everybody on the ship is just like, oh, these things are adorable. I'm just like, these are literally like the most terrifying thing ever with their deformed little King Ghidorah bodies and giant oversized heads. Like, these things are just a Jim Henson Muppet that just went horribly awry. Like, these guys are the stuff of nightmares. What the hell? Oh, that was a weird dream. And what the hell's poking me in my blanket? Seriously, it's getting kind of annoying. What the? But my wife still thinks they're adorable for some reason, so whatever. But overall, for the details, it's actually turned out really nice. Really like the wings here, and they got this little bit of a gloss finish over top of them with this gold paint with some fleshy tones underneath the wing here. Back of the wing, pretty much the same thing going on, but with a little bit more of the gold overlays. Body's got some decent amount of details, a little bit of the triangle pattern from King Ghidorah showing over top of them. And their head sculpt just as terrifying in the film with their white eyes with the black pupils, which just, again, terrifying. And then the little teeth here, which actually the mouth is posable. It's kind of hard to get moving, but it can go up and down. Just a second. This one's not really conveying this very well. There we go. Move it a little bit up and down. Just kind of a pain in the butt because I don't really have much of a nail here. And then for the hair texture, it looks pretty good as well. If they really want to go over the top with this figure and make it even more scary than it already was, they should have added a little bit of fake hair to add the effect here, but I'm glad they went with the plastic. It's a little less for me to worry about. And the texture here does not look that bad, but maybe could have been a little bit more defined, but it's nothing I'm going to really complain about. And for the articulation, head can look a little bit left and right. Mouth can move again, up and down. The wings can move a little bit back and forth, a little bit up and down, have a bit of a rotation to them. One thing though is these wings are very thin, so I'd just be a little bit wary of breakage. Because to me, these guys do feel fairly delicate here, especially in the wing area, so make sure you're going to be displaying these guys in an area where you're not going to have anything falling on them, or that they can fall from, because I don't imagine these wings could survive a whole lot of damage. The legs can move side to side, nothing too dramatic here. And then for the tail, can also rotate all the way around. So overall with the dorats, really awesome inclusion to the figure, especially since we already got King Ghidorah. Just kind of, again, makes to complete that trifecta that is Mecha King Ghidorah. Really love these guys overall, and now we're going to move on to Mecha King Ghidorah. Then bringing in for a closer look, the head sculpts turned out amazing, which is pretty much standard with the SH MonsterArts line. Really like all the details here, especially what the King Ghidorah has with this nice gold paint job and a little bit of the little replicating kind of the hair that they had on top of their head, but it's more just gold patches here. The mouth looks really nice. Really like the more snake-like tongue here, which is actually articulated, which is also nice. You even get a little bit of detail here on the upper part of the mouth. Looks really nice. Has this really dark blood red flesh tone on the inside. It looks really great. And the horns overall look really nice as well. Pretty straight and narrow on this one. But on this side of the head, mine tends to bend up a little bit, but it's nothing too distracting. But one thing I find a little weird is that grabbing my original King Ghidorah, is the head sculpts, while they look kind of cut and paste, are slightly different. With the original King Ghidorahs, and especially notice in the nose area, you'll see that there isn't really a whole lot of detail for the nostril here, while on the newer version, it's actually a little bit more predominant, has a nice indentation. And then for the eye colors, the original has this really nice gold with the viper-looking iris, while the newer one is actually more of a green tint with the viper iris. So that's pretty much the difference between the original two head sculpts. And then for the main attraction for the cyborg head here, the sculpt looks really nice on it. Really like the translucent green for the eyes, and even has this little pointy thing here at the top, and then the inside of the mouth, you'll see the portion for his beam when he, this is pretty much how it generates the beam when it comes out of his mouth. Also how it generally gets the different color than the other two heads had. The rest of it looks really nice with this kind of worn down silver paint job, kind of gives them a little more of a rough look to them. And then coming down here at the base of the neck, you'll see that there's these little tubes going into each of the heads, which is how I imagine that she controls them inside the cockpit here, which has this nice frosted white to it. One thing to point out is that the tubes don't look like they can expand that much at all, so I'd be a little wary if you pop the heads out. Be very careful, because I imagine these tubes are pretty easy to come off, and don't want to tear these because it doesn't look like they're popped in there at all, so just be wary of those breaking, and then you having to spend all that time trying to fix these things would be a major bummer. And for the rest of the body here, it looks really good as well. It has this nice silver paint job, the same here as the neck here, with a little bit of a darker gunmetal finish over top of it. It even has some metallic flake in there. It looks really good. Really like all the little indentations, and it looks very reminiscent of the film, and even like these little panels here for where the capture cable is going to, where you open these up and inside you have the little nubs, and this part actually comes out. But we'll go over that in a little bit once we get through the details and articulation. And then for the rest of the body, down here is where you start getting the normal King Ghidorah body with the gold paint with the diamond plated scaling effect. Really looks nice on him. And down here he has his little metal boots with the normal King Ghidorah feet and some details here underneath on the bottom. Has the gold painted nails just like on the normal King Ghidorah. And then for the wings are definitely probably the most terrifying looking part of this entire kaiju, where for the details it looks really nice with the metallic silver here for the majority of the wings with a little bit of reds in here. And also has this nice kind of screen texture here with gold painting over top of it. It looks really nice and again very reminiscent of the film. But it has these little prongs sticking out on the end here which are really thin and I imagine are very breakable. So for this kaiju, it's just there's a lot of things going on here that are a wee bit scary on this guy, especially with the little tubes here on the neck here, and then for the wings you got these little prongs here. So just when you're storing this guy and have him displayed, just make sure he's not next to anything that is very breakable or someplace where he could fall, because again, there's just a lot that can go wrong with this action figure. But I really love the inclusion of these because, again, it just really translates well from the film. And without this, it'd just be a little bit odd. So it's kind of like a necessary evil thing. It even has a little bit of textures here at the top. Same at the bottom here. Looks really good. Give you guys a back view. Because on the back, it actually is just all silver all the time, which looks really nice. And same with the normal little vents going on here on the back too. Look really good. Kind of wish there was a little bit more going on here because it's just a little plain looking, maybe a little bit more of a darker texture, but it still looks really good. And then for King Ghidorah's tail, really like the segmenting. Again, it has this nice gold diamond plated texture coming along the entire length of the tail. So one thing that's really nice is these are all individually sculpted, so it's just not kind of like a repeated looking pattern, which is really nice. And then at the tip of the tail, you get the little prongs, which have a little bit, if I can focus the camera a bit, there we go. Prawn's got this nice fore end bit with a little bit of red on the inside of it. Looks really good. And overall, just looks like this could actually do some damage, even though it wasn't really used in the film for those purposes. For his articulation, head sculpt can look up, down, left. Move this guy up a little bit. And then to the right. Really nice range of motion here, because pretty much each of these are all individual ball joints, which gives them a lot of posability. Same with the cybernetic head on the center, actually has pretty much the same range of motion. Can even look around if you really wanted it to. But the one thing I noticed is that the normal King Ghidorah heads can actually look down pretty far with the head being more upright, while the cybernetic head actually cannot really get the same kind of look going on. It's kind of stuck here with this segment kind of being the control point for the head, so it just has a little bit harder time of it looking more straight without bending the neck quite as far. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but it's nothing too major. The mouse can move up and down on each one of these guys. These mouse can actually move around a lot, which is a little weird looking. And then for the cybernetic head, the mouth can move a little bit up and down, but nothing too crazy because it tends to just want to pop back up. So that's about as far as open as you're going to get it, and it's rotating a little bit. Can close that far. Also has a little bit of a rotation there for it. Then for the normal heads, they actually can move up and down quite a bit. And also the tongues on the inside of them are articulated. If I can get it to lift up a little bit. There we go. So the tongue can move up and down a little bit and also can move a little bit side to side. Then for the rest of the body, King Ghidorah has a very nice tummy crunch. But the one thing I noticed is the ball joint's really loose on the center portion of the stomach, at least on mine. So it tends to dislocate if you move it around a little bit too much, which isn't too much of a concern because, again, this guy's pretty much just going to be standing on the shelf majority of the time. But just moving around a little bit, just make sure when you're grabbing him to make sure you have a good secure grip on the top and the bottom so things aren't falling off and flopping all over the place, which again can lead to bad things happening. But again, has a really nice tummy crunch, can rotate a little bit to the left and to the right. Also has a nice pivot there and again, popping out. Move about that far back and forth without dislocating the ball joint. And then for the wings, what's actually really nice is they changed how these wings work a little bit, at least for Mecha King Ghidorah, where you'll see a little wheel here so that the wings can actually move up and down on that point. And then they swivel on this joint right here, which sounds really nice because it gives them a lot of range of motion and a lot of play to it. And the wings can move about that far all the way back, so it's pretty crazy there. The wings can go all the way forward to about here, so you get a nice kind of hurricane attack position. And then the wings can shift up about that far, down about that far. So nothing too crazy in the up and down position, but really love how far they can move back and forth. It's really nice. Also, kind of stiff, but it's nothing I'm really too concerned about because Doesn't feel like anything is going to be breaking here anytime soon. Then for the legs, can move a little bit back and forth. Have a nice rotation to it. At the knee, has a rotation here as well. Can bend about that far back, that far forward. Has a bend at the feet here. A little bit of a pivot and can rotate all the way around. And then for the tail again, each of these little segments are all ball joints, so you get a nice range of motion to them. Pretty much position these however you want. But I noticed on mine right here, it tends to just kind of fall down a little bit, so it doesn't stay up quite as well as I would like to. But if you have it propped up on the table, which I'll show you guys in just a sec. But if you have them propped up on a table here, it actually still holds up to positions pretty well. Just once you start getting them off the ground, they tend to sink a little bit. So it's nothing too major, but it's just something I want to point out for you guys. If you guys want to have this guy in a flying pose, then you might have a little bit of problem with that ball joint there. And then also for the tip of the tails, the prongs here can rotate all the way around. Pops off pretty easy, so just be a little bit wary of that. Same with rotation here at the tip of the base. And then pretty much each of these little segments can also rotate all the way around. And then lastly, we're going to go over Mecha Ghidorah's accessories, which he comes with his capture cable. What you get here is you get the big gripper hand for the middle of the body, 2 smaller capture cables and 2 medium-sized capture cables, and a stand with a little bit of new accessories to go with it. So just wanted to go over this with you guys. And when you're going to be wanting to assemble the stand, these little towers, pillar things here go on the side here, and what you have is you got these little pegs inside of here just to kind of keep things. I'm not sure actually why they really have these in here, other than just maybe for safety reasons or worrying about breakage or something. But there's little pegs in there, and all you gotta do is just kind of push them out, and you can use the rod here from the stand to get them out. And then you just, after I go find the peg, I'll find it in a second, get the other peg in here. And what you do is once you get the little pegs out, just going to want to put them somewhere where you can safely store them, or use them in other Tim Machination stands if you really wanted to. Little peg looks like this. Nothing too exciting going on here. So then your stand should pretty much look like this, and then you also use the actual normal Act 4 stand, and you just stick it in the normal slot here. Nothing too exciting, but it is something that is new for this monster, and I really do appreciate that they just didn't try to put a bunch of little bendy stands here and be like, hey guys, good luck. They actually gave us something that's actually very practical and useful, and I overall really love this little stand here. And for each of the capture cables, they look really nice, where they have this nice darker silver metallic finish like the rest of the body does for King Ghidorah here. But what's also really nice is it's actually a wire here for the entire length of the cable here. And then you have the bit that goes into the panels there in King Ghidorah. So it's really nice because it actually gives you a lot of play with these little wires here. And also, if they were plastic, I would imagine that these things would be stupid easy to break. So again, just really love the attention to the detail and making, especially since this monster's already a little bit scary of breakage, that it's just not another added little nuisance. And then these smaller ones are just literally just slightly smaller than the normal capture cable. Nothing too much going on there. But for the large gripper hand, what's actually really sweet is that for the top portion of this is all your standard plastic, and these can actually bend in and out so you can clamp onto your kaijus that you will be fighting, mainly Godzilla. But for the rest of the here, it's actually metal here. So again, just don't have to worry about this thing breaking or giving. It's just really awesome, and it just kind of gives this thing a little bit more of a heft to it, which I really like. And then the tip here is your normal plastic with the same metallic silver as everything else. So really love the look of the accessories. Let's get this all assembled. Alright, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pop out the center section for Mecha King Ghidorah. Set this off to the side where you won't be losing it. You're going to want to open each of these little panels here. There's 4 in total. Top one gives me a little bit of a fit, but it's nothing too major. And then what you want to do is for the top portion, you're going to want to take the smaller little pegs, because these are going to be the ones clamping on the Godzilla's arms, and you just insert them into the peg hole here. Nothing too amazing going on, but it's pretty simple stuff. And then for the larger ones, go into the smaller peg hole down here. Again, nothing too exciting. Just pop it in there, good to go. And then I'm going to pull these things out just to demonstrate a little bit easier. And then for the gripper hand here, you just want to make sure that the peg hole here is facing towards the bottom, so the top part should have this nice smooth finish here. And then you just take the pegs, insert them into the pegs in Mecha King Ghidorah's chest. Really easy to do. And then you got your gripper cables. And then you just pretty much assemble it onto your stand, and I will show you guys how this will look after I get this all assembled. Once you get all assembled, this thing looks gnarly, which when you have it set up with the stand here, you're not going to be able to actually have it capturing onto Godzilla. This is kind of just to help replicate the cable shooting out of Mecha Ghidorah. But it looks gnarly, and actually I'm going to pop my camera off around here real quick just to show you guys a little bit more of the details. And just to show you guys a little bit more of how this stand actually looks with everything on it. Again, just looks awesome. Everything just looks like it's jettisoning out nicely out of Mecha Ghidorah. All the cables sitting there very nicely and flush. Looks really good. Overall, it just looks very natural the way it kind of just shoots out of them. And overall, really love this accessory going along with them. Let's get Godzilla out and have Mecha Ghidorah capture his prey. And now we have him attached to our Heisei's SH MonsterArts Godzilla, which looks awesome, by the way. Really like how the cables wrap around the body here with the big clamping hand attaching around his waist. The little cables attached to his upper part of his arms looks really good. But I noticed for the lower cables, which are the medium size, I have to attach mine around the knee because if I try to put it around his feet area, it tends to pop out here at the base of the cable here because there's just not enough cable here to really go all the way down. The way things move around, it's just really hard to do. So that's pretty much the position I have to put him in, but it looks really good nonetheless. And it's probably, at least for me, the most iconic scene from that film where Mecha Ghidorah just attaches the capture cables to Godzilla and just surging electricity through him. And overall, this thing is just gnarly. And it just wouldn't be a Mecha Ghidorah figure without the capture cable here. And I'm just glad that they decided to include this inside the packaging. Kind of wish, on a secondary note, that they would have came with a little purple beam for Mecha Ghidorah here, because we already got the triple, more lightning-looking beams with the Mecha Ghidorah. It would be nice to add that little added accessory just to give it a little bit more variety if you wanted to have them with your Mecha Ghidorah here. But overall, pretty happy with all the accessories that he's come with. And also on a side note, I tried getting them to do the flying position with him carrying Godzilla, but it's not very recommended because at least on mine, the center tends to pop out very easily. And again, with all the loose ball joints and stuff, it's just a lot of bad things could happen. So as a thought, really sweet, but it's not very practical to be doing. So for some quick comparison, here's Mecha Ghidorah with his original counterpart King Ghidorah and the dorats. And here is with the SH MonsterArts Space Godzilla and Gamera 2 from Gamera Advent of Legion. And here is with the Ultra Egg Gridman or Servos from Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad and the NECA Godzilla 1994 from Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. And here's with the Japanese vinyl Mecha Ghidorah and 1991 Godzilla. And here's a NECA's Pacific Rim Hong Kong Brawl Gypsy Danger and Otachi. So overall, Mecha Ghidorah here, his details are amazing. The articulation is really good as well. Some of the ball joints are slightly looser than I'd like them to be, and maybe a little bit more articulation in the neck would have been appreciated. But keeping with the overall clean look that the neck has, I do appreciate what they gave us nonetheless. For the accessories, would have loved to have seen an alternate beam effect for the cybernetic head because we already got some effects with the previous King Ghidorah release. But with the addition of the capture cables and the dorats, still overall love the accessories for Mecha Ghidorah. So in the end, I highly do recommend picking up Mecha Ghidorah, especially if you're into this toy line, because he is another awesome addition to the SH MonsterArts series. So what do you guys think? Have you guys seen Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah? What do you guys think of the SH MonsterArts King Ghidorah? Are the dorats just the cutest thing ever? Please let us know in the comments. We'll have closer pictures of them on my Facebook. If you want to click the link description below. Please don't be afraid to share this video around. And if you like this and want to see more stuff like this, please give us a like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Here, I just welcome Super Important Reviews. My name's Steve.
Wait a minute. My name's Ernest.
And thank you guys for 50,000 subscribers. We're halfway to a play button.
Halfway. Come on, peeps.
And whoa, living the copyrights. All right, anyways, moving on. Today for this Hodgepodge review, we're going to be doing something special. Sorry it's taken this long to get one out. But we're going to do this Ghidorah. And I'm going to say right now, we've actually tried to review this thing. This will be time number 3?
Yes, number 3.
Right? And we're like,
it's
screw
our
it.
cursed figure.
Yeah, every time we do it, something has gone horribly wrong with the recording. So it might still go on with this recording.
No matter, it's a hodgepodge. It's going out.
And funny thing is, we already have a hiccup, is I can't actually find its box at the moment. And you might find that odd, but I have a lot of boxes. So to get this video done, I won't be able to show you guys what the display stand looks like. Essentially what it is a Tamashii stand, so you get 3 of these bases. I'm just going to pull my drawer open. You get some arms, like so. And then you get this little extender piece. Now, I know on one of mine it actually broke. But you get a little extender piece with a little, not really like a clamp, but it kind of looks like a clamp that the beams would sit on. You would get 3 of those and then 3 of these beams. They were literally the exact same thing. They just rests inside the mouth. That's why you had the stand to hold it up. Pretty sweet. Just translucent yellow. But really awesome accessories. Cool that it came with it. If you got the special colored version, it would have had different colors for the beams. But this one is the original release, which is awesome because it's got the super terrifying wing joints.
Oh boy.
And I think color-wise, this one is just more of a darker gold than was on the special colored version. But yes, this is the original release. This is one of the ones I had to pay a little more for than when it first came out. I found this guy at a trade center.
How much did you pay for him?
I want to say it was like $150.
All right, so on eBay with no box, he runs $250.
$250? I was gonna say I think it's like about 3-ish.
No box, about $330 with the box.
Yeah, I was like,
Used.
I want to say, yeah, that sounds about right.
It says U.S. seller on it, and then the special version's a little bit more, and then you can get one unopened box. It's like $440.
Yeah, and then it's also the special color does have a bootleg, so there is technically a bootleg of this mold.
Yeah.
But ideally, I would still recommend trying to get the regular one because the bootleg one is the show. Got the Showa body with the Heisei heads on them, and then the Heisei heads are kind of messed up. So I don't know how much I really would want to get that one because it's not technically right. But anyways, we're just gonna get into it. So without further ado, again, couldn't find the box currently. But there's a giant gold head Ghidorah on it. Pretty sweet. But for the actual figure here, detailing is superb because again these are sort of like the earlier MonsterArts, so like the paint jobs and what have you were always pretty much on the money.
Yeah, it's actually when they gave
I don't want to say gave a damn, but
gave an effort.
You see less hiccups with certain things, like the eyes here got the nice reptilian pupils, teeth are done with a white coloring. Also looks like it's got a little bit of red on it, like it's almost looked like Ghidorah's been like snacking on something. It's got a nice blood red tongue with the fork on the end of it. Each of the heads are literally the same though.
They actually put in a lot of details in the paint job on this guy for sure.
Well, yes and no. Like the head's got some color variety. Yeah. The rest of this is just gold.
Well, that's what he was like in a movie. I mean,
solid
you want accuracy, right?
Yes. It does have like a little bit of shading here and there though. So like the gold here is a little bit darker. You get the same thing around the legs here
and stuff like that.
Yeah. The scaling is nice and pronounced. Actually sticks out from the body. Even's got some added detailing on the scaling, which is nice to see. Which is awesome. It's kind of like the issue that the 2019 Ghidorah had, where like this is like one basic color, right?
Yeah.
But because of the way the detailing is done for the scaling and with a little bit of shading, it looks awesome still.
Yeah, it looks better than 2019 in all reality, to be honest with you.
Yeah, sculpt-wise, I would say for sure. But the way the scaling is set up, it gives like some nice shading, so the detail stands out, and that's kind of what the 2019 version was missing a little bit for me. Same with the legs here, look nice. Again, got a little muscle bulge on the front of it. Got some added shading for the sides of the legs here. The toes are just gold all the time. Same with the wings, except for you got the scaling here. And then this nice shine. We'll say it's not really like a metallic gold. It's more of a pearl.
I don't know. From here, it looks more metallic.
Like pearl still gives you like that metallic shine, but you don't get like the flakes are very small though. For the reflection, while on something that's like actual metallic, usually you can see the flakes. I would like to point to my shredder sitting over here, but I don't want to get it off the shelf.
Yeah, I see.
I can rotate a bit, but if you see the shredder's cape, or even just like the lights, that's more of a metallic. But anyways, wings look good. Back of the kaiju, more of the same. For the tail, you get this little spiky ball at the end of it. Actually fairly similar to 2019's. Or 2019 similar to this. Alright, one issue with this figure, and I guess we'll get into it now, is the articulation, because it has a crap ton of ball joints. Stuff does pop off. Primarily on this guy, it's the tail here. This one's actually pretty good. You can pretty much lay it flat. You can go side to side with it, go up about yay far. You can get it down if you want to get them flying. Sadly, it doesn't have the flying stand. That what came with the 2000, not 2000, the special color version.
So that's the difference, is that one comes with this flying stand, this one doesn't?
Yeah, but you get it with the bootleg. I got it somewhere in one of these drawers here. But this tail, this ball joint in particular, doesn't really sit all the way inside the joint. So, like, you can get it on, but it does like to fall off. But I guess we'll start working the articulation backwards. So for its legs, can go about that far out. About that far in.
It's not bad.
Nice.
I feel like it's better than the
Bend at the knee.
2019.
Well, yeah, because it could stand by itself. That's a start.
Okay, I wasn't trying to point out too obvious.
But you do get quite a bit of movement there. Same with rotation. Feet can, like, it can rotate just at the knee, side to side, which is cool. Well, a little bit of rotation up at the top of the thigh as well. The chest, it's more of like a side to side you get with it than a forward and back. It's negligible, but you do get some gapping there.
Oh, yeah, I get it. Ooh.
When you do articulate. Not really a side to side. I don't know if I want to mess with the wings.
I wouldn't.
Because the wings on this guy are fairly notorious for breaking, but I will
show a little bit.
I will show the one wing. Go up about that far, down about that far. You can go a little bit up and down, but don't go too crazy. I usually just kind of keep them off to the side, call it a day. And then for the necks, can go about that far, down about that far. Get a nice side to side with it. Oops, getting stuck in the other Ghidorah. Can also rotate at the top of the head. Mouth can open and close. Get a little bit of rotation at the mouth. And it's pretty much the same for each of these guys. It's mostly, again, the same joints. Is kind of like where they attach to. And that's pretty much it. If you missed out on it originally, and you also missed out on the reissue, more than likely I would be hard-pressed to believe that this will see another reissue.
You don't think so?
There's not really like a precedent for it, because the only thing is like the Burning Godzilla technically has a bunch of reissues, but they're like different versions.
Yeah.
But it's the same mold. They like that would be maybe something they could do with Ghidorah, but I wouldn't imagine it would be anytime soon. So if I was going to try to get this, I'd be looking at, like, for me, I'd be trying to stick in like the 200 range. If you really needed it.
250 without a box, I seen. I mean, I seen bootlegs on there for like $30.
Yeah, I was like, there is the bootleg option, but that's not really where I want to be at.
No.
It'd be like I guess like 250 nowadays, I think, is more than fine. Because especially for like how old it is, usually I would say, like, I personally wouldn't want to go higher than double.
No, and that's where...
Like, once you start getting double, it's like, how much do you really love Ghidorah and how much are you trying to finish a collection?
Yeah, because at this point, he's way past the double if you're looking for, like, one in a box.
Yeah, but, like, if that's important to you, you're probably buying this because you're trying to finish a set.
Yeah.
And at that point, I could see paying a little bit more, but just for, like, the general collector, at this point, I would probably just skip on it unless you really like this guy. Because there's still, like, the Bandai vinyls look alright for this.
Yeah,
like, there's options.
You have options out there.
But anyways, that's pretty much it. Help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button, subscribe, become a Ranger today. We also have an Instagram, Pinterest, Patreon, Facebook. Guys like Keep Out David channel donate. We also have a t-shirt shop on Redbubble. Not a crap ton for our other channel, but Super's got some stuff. And we also have masks too. So if you guys like to check that out as well. And see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.